I worked every day, all day, didn't have any money at the end of the week. I've been with my girlfriend, which is my wife now. She was on to me all the time about her money situation, and we couldn't get along, and we was always having problems. And it was because of me and the drugs. And I had a lot of problems with my mom and all my friends, and everything went downhill. Well, I called into work because I didn't have any pills, because I couldn't work without them. And I called in that day, and my wife come home from her job, and she found out that I didn't go to work. And like I said, we had always fought about it anyway, and we got into one of the worst fights we've ever had that night. And she told me that if I didn't straighten up, she was leaving. Well, she told me that before, but never did. But actually, this time she meant it, and I know she did. And that was one of the worst days of my life. I knew for sure she was going to leave, and that's when I knew that I had to do something to change. I didn't think much of myself at all. I mean, I knew I was an addict, and I was costing myself my job and my wife and all my family, all the people I cared about. I was losing them, and I did not think much of myself at all. I knew what kind of person I was, but I cared, but I didn't care enough. It took a drastic change to actually start making my phone calls to change. I first started when I was like 15 years old. Right after my dad died, I started using drugs. And then about 18 is when I really became an addict. I was working in a factory, and everybody around me was doing it, so I joined in, and shortly after it became a big problem, and I stayed an addict for a little over 5 years. There were several times I drove from my house to the other side of Louisville, to the north side of Louisville, which is a little over an hour and a half drive, just to meet up with somebody to get my pills. And I would spend money that I didn't have. I would find money. I'd get it from somewhere. And I spent all day looking for it if I had to. And I would stay out all night long doing them and ripping and running, acting crazy. It was horrible. The first thing was, how am I going to get my pills? That was always the first thing. And if I had them, as soon as I woke up, I started taking them. And they would get me motivated. I'd get going, and by the end of the day, I would have to find something for the next day. It was an everyday thing. She actually told me she was going to leave before, and I tried, and I maybe went a day without taking them, and I just couldn't do it. It was too hard. I wouldn't want to get out of bed, and if I did have to get up out of bed, I would ache. My muscles would ache. It seemed like my nose was always running, and my stomach, I wouldn't want to eat. I had diarrhea and stomach cramps. Just feeling horrible. You just don't want to do anything or see anybody. A friend of mine had been through the same thing, and he had actually lost his job and lost his wife, and his mom kicked him out, and his grandmother, I think, enrolled him in a program, and he had told me about it in the past, and that night I called him and asked him what he did to get help. At first it was kind of scary making the change. Once I got my mind set into what I wanted to do, it wasn't so bad. I knew that I wanted to straighten up and do the right thing. So after I got motivated, it wasn't too bad. The treatment's absolutely easier than running. Yeah, I know where I'm going. I'm not looking for somebody, and somebody's not looking for me, and I've got all my stuff straightened out now for the most part. So yeah, the treatment's much easier than the way it used to be. Now that I'm in treatment and in recovery, I feel so much better. My life's changed so much. I still have my job, I still have my wife, and now I have a little daughter, and I have money in the bank, which I never had before I started treatment, and I've got so much now I never would have had if I never stopped doing drugs. Everything's so much better for me. I'm very thankful for what I have now. I feel the future is so much more for me than it's ever had before. I have a future now whereas I've never had one whenever I was doing drugs. I look forward to so much now. My daughter's growing up, and I look forward to taking her to school and getting her off the bus, and building our new home together, and all this stuff I never would have had if I never quit doing drugs. I wouldn't have my daughter now because I wouldn't have my wife. She would have been gone, so I never would have had my daughter. Freedom's a big part of being free from drugs. Anything I want to do now, I can do. I've went on 2 vacations this year because I don't have to stay home because my drugs are at home. You know, I've got money in my pocket where I can go on vacation now. I don't have to go looking for people. The freedom's unreal. It feels so much better than it used to. If I never stopped doing drugs, I'm pretty sure that I would probably be in jail or dead. I know for sure I wouldn't have a wife and family, and I wouldn't have the good job that I have. I would have lost it all. My advice to you would be to just give it a chance. That's what I did. I just gave it a chance, and it changed my life. You know, it was a real easy move to make. I went in one morning, and by that afternoon, I'd already felt so much better. I knew something good was coming.